Hi, Jillina and Ozzy. How do you two collaborate? How do you work together?
Usually I hear him drumming something and I'll come running into the room and we just start, it kind of starts with like goofing around. I'll just start dancing and he'll play something and then I'll love it and then I'll say repeat that a few times and it's kind of just evolves into something.
Does. She always has ideas she throws at me, conceptual ideas like let's do this or what do you think about this and these rhythms and that rhythm, and then I'll start drumming at it and then she'll say okay I like that, I don't like that. We just find what we like and we piece it together.
Yeah. I think one of the magic things about our collaboration is Ozzy's a great leader and follower at certain times in the drum solo. So when there's times when I absolutely follow whatever Ozzy throws at me and I just do my best to hang in there. And then there's moments where I'll ask him to sort of follow me when we're improvising and it feels really good. I feel like it's a good partnership between the both of us.
It's a good balance. Constantly this back and forth that we, of who's following and leading. And I think it really shows on stage and people really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it comes natural to us, I think,
Because it's parts of it are improvisational. We don't always set everything. So there's, I think the magic of the drum solo is between that not knowing what's going to happen and both of us really concentrating and sort of our Tom and Jerry routine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. So, you guys mentioned rhythms. What are some rhythms you would suggest putting together for a drum solo?
I would suggest definitely a fast rhythm to start, maybe either a malfu for a falahi to start a drum solo, just to give it that high energy. I know Jillina kind of, it's a good way to enter and she likes to do that too. So
it's a nice way to kind of get the audience involved too. Starting with something that's high energy and even like two twos or 2 4s.
Yeah, 2 4, yeah.
I don't necessarily like starting with like syncopated patterns because the audience feels a little left out. I always try to find something that what I call clappability that the audience can clap along with, and then we'll explore other rhythms from there.
Yeah, we'll usually go do something like a 4/4, like a saidi or a baladi, just because it has that really cool like slow down but still like a party feeling.
Medium tempo.
Yeah, medium tempo. And then we usually slow it down.
Tremolo, and then of course there's always like a section of tremolos and rolls where that's almost always totally improvised, and we have fun with that. We wait and see how the audience reacts with it, or doesn't react with it. So hopefully they react. And then sometimes I like to spice it up with something different, like a haliji or semai or something a little unusual to give it a little bit of Jillina flavor or Jalazi, Jillina Ozzy flavor. So something a little bit unexpected, I think, is kind of fun to add to it. That we always try to put something in there, and then of course ending with something.
Yeah, we end usually very fast in a very like crescendo way, where everybody's anticipating a big pop at the end or something like that, and it usually works out really well that way. That's a good format.
Yeah, I like it.
Jillina, how do you approach a drummer that you've never worked with before?
Approaching a drummer that I've never worked with before is challenging. First, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jillina.
Hi, I'm Ozzy.
Nice to meet you. And then I'll just usually, like if we're about to go on stage and we're just backstage and I've just met this person, I want to make them feel comfortable and I want them to play what they're comfortable playing, not throw a bunch of things at them and them not feel confident maybe, or just feel overwhelmed, or they feel I'm being demanding. So I'll just say, hey, what are your favorite rhythms and what do you have in mind? So what would you reply to if you...
I love falahi and I love saidi.
So if you love falahi, I love falahi. Let's start with that. Play that as long as you want, and then maybe we can move into saidi.
Sure, saidi is great.
And then from there, then once he gives me some ideas, I'll come back with suggesting some rhythms. That way I'm kind of showing him that I have knowledge of music, I have knowledge of rhythms, and that I kind of know what's going on. I'm not trying to show off, but in a respectful way, showing that I understand what we're about to do. And then I just try to make them feel comfortable. Sometimes if I feel like the drummer's capable, I'll ask them to maybe, like I like to do a zar at the end of my drum solo, so I'll ask for ayub, and I'll ask for 8 bars of a slow ayub, 8 bars of a fast ayub, and then 8 bars of like a tremolo. So that's not too much to ask, and most time we can kind of deal with that. And
that's perfect. It's great to have a dancer approach you and know what she's looking for, and in that respectful way, like she was saying, it just puts the drummer at ease a lot too, because he knows that, you know, you'll probably be able to follow what he's trying to do if he does anything, and then you're gonna like what he's doing. So I think on stage it makes it much more comfortable.
One thing I'll usually ask for is like they call it patterns or combos, like the little sentences that are played on top of the rhythm. I'll ask him to repeat those 4 times. Some drummers like to mix it up and make it, they think it, you know, they feel it's more interesting to play it twice. But as a dancer on stage, the first time I hear it, I'm just hearing it the first time, like the audience. Second time, I try to catch it, create something to it. And then the third and fourth time I hear that sentence, I can actually choreograph it and do something spontaneous on the stage and make it look structured. So I'll always try to ask the drummer, whatever you want to play whatever it is, and just try to give me 4 of those. And most of the time that works out. And it's not a lot to ask, it's usually pretty easy.
It's not. It's a good drummer will try his best to do that, because that structure is important. And I think for a drummer, it's still going to be very entertaining, even if it's 4 times in a row. It's perfect. It's a good number.
Hopefully the dancer is entertaining.
Yes. Yes. It's important too.
Great. Ozzy, do you approach dancer, you know, that you've never worked with before? Do you approach her in any other way? Do you have anything to add to that?
I think I approach any dancer based off of, you know, I try to have a discussion about how long they've been dancing, what they know. So I know, you know, I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable on stage. I know how nerve-wracking it can be to be on stage with a drummer. So I try to make it as comfortable for them as possible. If I know they're kind of a beginner, I'll try to stick to simple things and definitely keep that 4 pattern going, because it's very helpful
that's
to
helpful,
a dancer.
for new dancers.
For new dancers, yeah. If the dancer is very, like, you know, easy about, hey, just do whatever you want, I'll still keep a good structure, you know, but
Is that your favorite thing to hear? Like, just play whatever you want?
Well, it is and it isn't. It is because obviously I have freedom to do whatever I want to do, but it isn't because it makes me nervous about what she's able to do or follow, and I don't want to overextend myself or do something that's too complicated, and then she's going to look at me on stage like, why did you do that?
What's going on?
You know, so you gotta feel it. It's more of an instinctual thing, I think, more than anything. Yeah.
So this next question is for both of you guys. How do drummers and dancers communicate on stage?
Uninterrupted eye contact.
Uninterrupted, like that. For 25 minutes, no.
Definitely eye contact is important, but you have to engage the audience. So I think what I do for me personally, when I first come in and start the drum solo, I get the audience involved. Once I get them involved, I'll start traveling closer. I'll put myself really close to the drummer, standing like 2 to 3 feet away from him, and then I'll make sort of eye contact with him and interact with him. But I don't want it to be all about just the 2 of us or just me with the audience. So I think it's a balance of getting the audience involved, bringing them over to the focus point of the answer question between the dancer and drummer, and then coming back with the audience again. So also just getting an ear for what the drummer's going to play. Like when they go into changes, if they're working with other musicians, this is really important, is listening to how he communicates to the other musicians. When they're going to transition into a new rhythm, there's usually something he'll start to play stronger or heavier, or some accents will come in, and I listen for that to be able to follow the music a little bit better. And watching the body language.
Body language is very important.
Yeah.
I try to have as much body language as I can with any dancer. We've been working together for a little while, so we really know each other's body language, and I know when she's kind of giving me the look of, okay, I think we're ready to transition or move on. You know, there's a special glance or look, and she knows my body language. Like I'm very like forward, backwards, facial expressions, everything there. I think when I'm drumming, so if it's your first time, it's kind of, you know, it's work in progress the first time and you're trying to learn someone.
But watching the hands,
hands
definitely you want to watch the hands. If they're going to give you a big doom, they usually lift the hand up higher for a big accent that's coming. Sometimes they'll lean forward into it.
Yeah,
sometimes the eyebrows will move around a little bit. So you just kind of having that communication at the same time, keeping the audience involved and not making it too much of an intimate thing between you and the drummer, but involving the audience between that relationship.
Yeah. You really want a drummer who gives eye contact back. It's very important. That automatically gives that automatic connection of you're there, I'm here, we acknowledge each other. Let's make this fun.
Yeah.
Jillina, do you have any other tips for dancers for improvising?
3 tips would be practice, practice, practice. I think getting like a bunch of recording of drum solos, putting them on and just dancing to it, not listening to it, not choreographing it, just listening to them and then dancing to it and reacting from your instinct. And you'll start to recognize a pattern in a lot of like particularly Arabic music drum solos. There's certain combos and patterns that are repeated, definitely not in the same sequence. So you'll hear those combos just played in different sequences, different accents, typical things that you'll hear with Masmoudi, for example. So I think just putting on music and then getting up and dancing. So that was part of my early training, actually. My first teacher, Diane Weber, and Anahid, part of our practice was they would put on music in the beginning of class. We didn't know what it was, and we had to improvise for about 25 minutes. So it was really good training to just hear music, react, and follow through with it. So it helped my ear a lot.
Yeah.
I think that was good for my improv training.
Ozzy, how do you end a drum solo? Is there something specific that dancers should look for or listen to?
Yeah, I have I think a very particular style of ending. I like to kind of make it very loud. It gets louder for sure.
Yeah.
It gets faster for sure.
A lot of energy.
And you're gonna see my body language, like she was saying, like I'm preparing and I'm slapping the drum hard. And it gets to a point where it's so fast, so loud, you know it's going to end any second. It has to. So that's usually my style.
Would you give like a roll, and then do you do 5, 6, 7, and 8?
Yes,
or
I
do you
always
do 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1?
I usually end on 8. I usually try to
Okay.
end on 8. I usually do roll 6, 7, and slap on 8 and end it
All right.
on 8.
Note for dancers.
Note for
working with
Ozzy, yeah. I have thrown, I think, a few curveballs out there, and then given like another little pop afterwards, which is probably, that was my mistake.
But that's part of
But it's fun.
working with live music. You have to be able to react to it. You
Yeah.
hear a stop, and then something else keeps going.
And then
Add another pose at the end.
Yes.
So always be ready for that
Yeah.
live energy, because it is unpredictable. Because something can be going on, with the
Yeah.
musicians that day, something unexpected. So got to go with the
yeah,
flow.
roll to pop or pop with the last big one.
Okay.
Usually very common.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What is so great about drum solos? What makes them exciting for you guys?
Yeah.
Drum solo for me is the best.
My favorite thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm
for
a
me.
drummer, so.
So you're a drummer. For me, because I grew up in the West, and I really love the Egyptian style, and I love that the live music elements, and I think that we don't have so many opportunities as Western dancers to have live music. So for me, it feels like getting back to the basics of belly dance, where it's the communication between the musicians and the dancer. Because it was more of an intimate dance. It was like a group of musicians, a dancer in a small atmosphere, not in the big theaters like the way it is today. So it's changed and it's evolved into something else, not something that's bad. It's just evolved into something else. So this, for me, comes back to that communication, just the simplicity of music and dancer and that interaction of the feeling of that.
Yeah. And for me, I kind of grew up in that environment of drumming in a chafla style environment where it was a party and hey, where's your drum? Bring your drum and let's drum. And so it was a lot of like mostly soloing kind of stuff. I think now in the big theater structured environment that you kind of get, it's more challenging, but it's more fun. It's, I think, more rewarding also. So, yeah.
So what happens if someone makes a mistake on stage?
Wow. Do we make mistakes on stage?
Never.
Never. No.
Things happen. Sometimes technical
Yes,
things
definitely.
happen. For example, like we work also with besides being like a soloist with Ozzy, I also work with a large group of dancers with Ozzy. So sometimes if there's one beat extra or off, or we kind of miss a step, it's really tricky to come back in. I think when we're working with a group, it's different. Working with a group, we continue with our choreography, and Ozzy will jump back in if he's missed a beat or something. If I'm soloing and I miss a beat, something that he's done, I'll keep just moving until I catch up with him. So it depends on the situation.
It does. I think it depends. Everybody has their off nights, me included, a lot. I suppose.
No.
But you kind of you get back to it. You push yourself and you go right back to where you are. We're really good at, I think, at that. It always seems to be, it fixes itself more than anything.
It kind of fixes itself.
Yeah.
Before the big ending.
Yeah.
That's the most important.
Yeah.
Fix
and
it before
big,
it ends.
and strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.